This is Kristen Jones. I'm reviewing my third article called Caught Between a Scream and a Hug: Women's Perspectives on Music Listening and Interaction with Teenagers in the Family Unit. And this came from the Psychology of Music journal. I chose this article because it examines the links between musical choice and the health of the parent-teen relationship. I am the mother of 3 teenage boys, and I also am working on my general paper topic, which is going to be communication between high school students, musical communication. I also chose this because it involves social identity theory, which is something that I ran across when I was doing our longer presentation, and mine is on musical subcultures, which really involves social identity theory pretty intensely. There are 3 steps to social identity theory. First, social categorization, which is where we say, oh, look, there are the heavy metal fans at my high school, and there are the Billie Eilish fans, and there are the pop fans. So we've put people into groups. Social identification is when we then say, oh, I am a member of the heavy metal fan group, and I'm going to start behaving and dressing possibly according to that identity. Then there is the third section, which is social comparison, and that comes last. And it's when we say, oh, the heavy metal fans, of which I am a member, they're the in crowd, and they are better than the pop fans who are the out crowd. And we do this to maintain our self-esteem, and it's an important source of pride. This study looked at 10 middle-class families in Glasgow, Scotland, 10 mothers and 15 teenagers. The interesting part to me of this study was that participants were not told the full aim of the study because the questioners, the interviewers, did not want to bias them when they were giving their answers. So they were not aware that they were really being interviewed about their relationships between the mothers and the teenagers regarding music. They thought they were just being questioned about their musical preferences and choices. There were 3 areas of questioning: perception of musical behavior, music and activity in the home, and identity development, musically speaking, in the family. There were quite some interesting findings. The teenagers, basically, their musical relationship concentrated exclusively on the public sphere of social identity theory. So they were really concerned about what their musical choices looked like and said to other people. The mothers, on the other hand, were concentrated exclusively on the private sphere of the social identity theory. They were using music for personal enjoyment and personal needs. There were 5 boys in the study who engaged in rock and heavy metal listening. They had conflicts with their mothers over their choices of music and the volume and lyrical content of those choices. The other people in the study, the 2 other boys who listened to pop and light rock, the 1 boy who listened to brass and pipe bands and film music, and all the girls really had a more flexible and musically tolerant relationship with their mothers. An interesting thing that came to light for me was that all the female teens had a broader spectrum of musical taste than the male teens did. This was a little interesting sidelight. In general, there were a lot of findings about how teens listened and how mothers listened and where they did this. But I think the most interesting thing was the conclusion, which is that mothers and teenage daughters have a musical relationship. They share common heritage of musicals, boy bands, and female singers. And the girls were more willing to conform to volume, preference, or lyrical content requests from their mothers. The mothers and sons did not experience that. Sons did not want mothers to like their music. They didn't want to share it with them, and they were unwilling to conform. Thank you.